Day 2 of the November 1999 7-day retreat in Springwater. The sun is disappearing again behind the clouds. After shining in all its glory a while ago on the walk. Illuminating every little thing, every little pebble or snowflake, drop of water, grass blade. When the sun is out, everything glistens in its own glory. And then it disappears again. And things look different, in a different light, which may be the absence of light. In walking, do we hear the footsteps? The crunch, 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 crunch of gravel. The sound of arms rubbing nylon against nylon, or whatever one may be wearing. The sound of the water and the airplane. Do we hear it? Or are we trapped in story most of the time, talking to ourselves, reminiscing? And when awareness dawns, can it be seen at a glance for what it is? And crunch, crunch, crunch again. The feel of cold air and warm sunshine on the cheeks. The fragrance of decaying leaves. And walking around here in this hall, are we there? Are we here? The sound of the stomping on the wood, crackling here and there, creaking. The movement of people, the movement of this body. Are we aware? Sometimes people ask, how does thought stop? When in walking, how quietly, how intensely are you listening? And I don't mean making an effort, because everything is there to be heard. I've recently read several different articles about discovering or reconstructing sort of meditative labyrinth walks in cathedrals, or people are constructing them, where you just walk in a circle or in a meandering line, attending. And people have found that to be very helpful in just being there. To pay attention to the foot on the ground, just the movement of feet on the boards. Or is there too much static of thinking about something totally elsewhere at a different time? Try it. The moment you notice the entangled mind, see it for what it is, not judge it. It doesn't need to be judged. It's entangled. It's projecting, it's reminiscing, and aching or pleasuring with the remembrances or projections. See it at a glance, hear it, feel it. It's all one total perception. And wonder what's really here beside the fantasy. And the footsteps and the movement of the body, and many bodies here in walking or sitting, breathing, will come into awareness. Not as a thought, but as a living reality. For moments at a time. Not to be greedy for more, that's entanglement again. In wanting perfection, or wanting more. So where are we right now? Right this minute of listening. Now here, the thoughts that are there, see them for what they are. And listen to the distant hum of a motor. The voice speaking words, the sound of the words, but also the meaning of them. In listening, meaning reveals itself inwardly. Now here, or off again. That's all right. That's how it goes. In and out. One thing Kyle repeated on one of the last days, drop in, drop out, drop in, drop out. And then he said, some staff people had come over for breakfast. And they had left the room, and he said, they can drop in. And then one of the aides came in. She had just dropped in to look how he was. It wasn't her time, her scheduled time. And she had a certain air of put-on sweetness, or I don't know how to characterize it. Not quite genuine. And he said, Debbie, drop out. She looked a little bit hurt, and I said, all he's saying is he wants to be alone right now. But this thing that he had asked, also one of his last days, why is this that there is clarity and then there's confusion again? To see the confusion for what it is, at a glance. Is it possible? Seeing confusion for what it is, and what it really is. I don't want this, I want something else. This isn't right, something else must be better. Why is it this way and not another way? I'm so confused. Always self-centered. Confusion is in its essence self-centered. And narrow, confining, not spacious. To see it. The seeing can be spacious if it doesn't judge and wish it away, just to recognize it. That's already a spark of clarity. Not to hassle with the thoughts. This is The brain is a thinking machine with all its complexities, incredible complexities. And unfortunately, in itself lacking the ability to see that it is thinking, that it is projecting thought, that it is entangled in fantasy. The brain itself, left to itself, doesn't seem to see that. It takes some different energy to see thought as thought. At times very useful. Clear thinking can be one of our most useful everyday activities, not confused thinking, but thinking according to how things are, accurately, approximating accurately what is. Very useful function of thinking. But to see when thinking is merely projecting fantasies and questioning whether these fantasies are true, that seems to come from elsewhere, like the sun coming through the clouds and illuminating what is there. Every branch, every pebble. Somebody asked last night, I think this is how our group dialogue started. You, Toni, have talked in the previous 2 talks how close you were with Kyle, sharing just about everything. The beauty of it, the joy of it, and the pain of it when it doesn't happen anymore. The longing for it that sort of automatically comes with an habituated body. Body-mind gets habituated to its pleasures and comforts and satisfactions and good times and wants them again. It happens without any intention, conscious intention. This is what the body manifests, wanting to repeat what was nice, pleasurable, enjoyable, lovely. So this person asked, what about, on the one hand, this sharing with its beauty and joy, the pain that comes with it, and my freedom. The freedom of what? This person had recently gotten married. And this question is brought to me all the time. By people who are married or have been divorced or are about to get married. What is going to happen to one's personal freedom? Not just in the joyful sharing, but also in the obligatory sharing that comes with living together. Not just letting one person do the whole thing, sharing in the work. So, what about my personal freedom in living together and sharing, caring for each other? It's an important question. It's very important how one goes about this, because there can be very emotionally involving terms given to it. I've lost my freedom, or I can't do what I want anymore. I'm restricted. no time for myself. I have to have some time for myself. All kinds of very heavy, emotionally heavy ideas, and you may say needs. Although I have found out during the past years, it's not just been days or months, it's been years, how little we need, how that can be stretched. If the verbiage doesn't come in between and tells me how poor I am, oh, self-pity, which is a real pit one can fall into. The sun again. So what is this personal freedom that we all cherish and want to preserve? At the same time, we want to live with somebody, we want to have sex, we want to have companionship, take trips together, eat together, share work together, but we also want our freedom. To become very clear about what is possible and what is impossible. The moment one enters into a relationship, there is inevitably a curtailment of what one calls one's personal freedom. Let alone when children come. Because even taking the children to daycare centers and pre-nursery nurseries, one has to get them there, and the child may show some ill effect from it, or not want to go, or one needs to rationalize to oneself that the child loves it, can't wait to get there. So, we can't have everything. It's as simple as that. If we are valuing and cherishing and entering into a relationship, something goes. A whole day of free time, if this is how one lives. We usually don't have free time anyways, it fills up. Is doing what I want to do freedom? That's how we feel it. That's how it feels. I want to be free to do what I want to do and let no one hinder me in that. But that never works out because there's always something we cannot do. What is freedom? I remember once, years and years ago, before I had entered Zen training, reading D.T. Suzuki and making that amazing statement at one point. Maybe it is a Zen phrase, which I never encountered anyplace else. That the freedom is that the elbow does not bend outward. Elbow bends inward, and then it comes to a stop. The freedom is that it does not bend outward. Well, what did he mean? It seems totally incomprehensible to the rational mind. That restriction is freedom. And not to interpret it that I will be a free person if I impose lots of restrictions upon myself and suffer through them. This is idea-ridden activity. But is it possible for us human beings with so many desires, so many wants and needs, to be at one with the given situation we find ourselves in? Particularly if it cannot be changed, if we cannot walk away from it, or do not want to walk away from it, or it doesn't seem the right thing to walk away from it. Because some situations are of a nature that we can walk away from it. Walking away from a traditional center years ago, there was no conflict in this. It was just a clean break, walking away without anger. It was the right thing to do. But then there are situations in which it's not the right thing to walk away, but to merge with it, to be that thing without separation. And in that, an amazing freedom may reveal itself, not to be explained by words. It is that elbow not bending the other way. It's freedom to be the way it is. Without trying to get around it, or denying it, or fighting it, or complaining about it, or suffering from it. In such a moment of being completely here with what is here, without all the conditioned wants in the way. What I want, what I should have. There is an incredible openness and love, compassion. Which is not self-centered. It is not asking for things in return. That's our self-centered way of relating with each other, which is practical. If you live together, I do this for you, you do this. We do things for each other, and that's a lot of joy. But if you don't do for me anymore, then what happens? Is there irritation, resentment, self-pity? To see it if it's there, not to kid oneself that I don't have such feelings and emotions. But in this unself-centered openness, there is this amazing love and compassion, which is not asking for anything. It is not wanting. It's not wanting. It's a beautiful way of putting it. Not wanting something because it's not wanting, not lacking. We talked about this last night, here and there. What is love? Because doing things for another can come out of this unself-centered love, but very often it does not. It has expectations, reciprocity, mutuality. And if those expectations are not fulfilled, the sun hides behind the clouds, the love is gone. And yet, it doesn't even have to be that oneself at this moment is open without conditioning. By conditioning, I mean all these self-centered needs and wants and expectations and storyline. Sometimes just experiencing someone else selflessly, as that person is not asking anything for themselves, that can evoke this love too. Like nothing else. So now, does thought arise? How can I get this? How can I get rid of self-center? There's no such approach. This approach is in the mind, in the thinking, in the habitual thinking. Self-centered movements of wanting, expecting, what you should do, how you should be. They have to be seen. All of this has to be irradiated with sunshine. And in that sunshine, maybe it becomes clear that it is in the way. It's not something bad that I should get rid of, but it is not needed. It's in the way. It's an obstacle. It's a restriction. At that moment, that it is seen, it drops away. For that moment, for longer, it remains to be seen. How long does the sunshine last before the clouds cover it up again? And this conditioned organism, body-mind, is full of clouds. It is one big cloud, hiding what is true and real. So, from moment to moment, can a conditioned thought, a conditioned resentment or hurt, yesterday we talked about hurt, be spotted and stop and look at it and wonder about it. Why am I angry? Why resentful? Why so negative? Why so unhappy? Why so hurt? Why so revengeful? The why not to find explanations, but to stop and look and listen. And wonder what else is going on in this universe, which is empty and full of energy. Most of the time of day or night, we don't know what we're doing. We're so enmeshed in it. But awareness is always there. It may be hidden like the sun behind the clouds, but it can shine forth at any moment, shedding light on what we're saying, thinking, aching with. wanting and fearing. Not getting rid of it, but illuminating it. And let that illumination, that awareing, do its own thing. Somebody asked, does relationship help in this? Yes, it does. Relationship has been called many times a mirror, a living mirror for ourselves, if we're willing to look into it. How we affect other people. We only, in our cocoon existence, we only think other people affecting us, doing things to us. But when that cocoon opens a bit with awareness, we may see how we're affecting others with our moods, our words. Not we shouldn't, but to witness it directly with some distance and space. And to allow each other to express that. Can we? Let somebody tell us how we have affected them without getting hurt immediately and immediately blaming the other. Well, it's because of what you said. Maybe so, but space, time, pause, looking and listening. How are we affecting each other? Not just I have to have the freedom to express myself, and I want other people to allow me to express myself. It's all right if it is mutual, but very often with this insistence on needing to express myself honestly to other people, there goes a fear of hearing how we strike them. And for this thing to work, this expression, there has to be mutuality. And that takes enormous listening space, which goes deeper than the superficial hurt or defense, which springs up automatically. This brain is prepared to defend its every notion and pattern instantly, because it depends on it for its security. But we can question it, whether that is true security, security through defense. So next time you find defending yourself, stop, look, and listen. What's going on? Why am I doing this? What's deeper than defense? And listen again to what somebody said. Maybe it doesn't need to be defended against. Maybe it's true. Can I see that? Am I free to see that? Free from automatic defense. Which jumps up so quickly. No one is doing it, it's happening. It's the whole mechanism of survival. But wonder of wonders, it can be questioned. Openly, vulnerably. One may get superficially hurt in the process. But what's underneath the superficial hurt? To explore that, and it's wonderful to explore it together. If we're so inclined, if we're free to do that, to find out about ourselves, and each other in a new way, so that relationship can blossom in love. Are we together in this? We will end here for today.